God bless Israel, God bless America, and God bless our great alliance. Those were the words from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu earlier today when the news that Hamas and Israel have agreed to the first phase of a Gaza peace deal has been met with relief by many Israelis. Tal Schneider, a political correspondent for the Times of Israel, says it's been an emotional day and Israelis are looking forward to the remaining hostages being returned.
Wow, it's a huge relief. It's a joy. We've been waiting for this day for such a long time. And, we hope to see the hostages in 48 hours or 72 hours here in Israel, but also the pullout of the IDF from Gaza, bringing home back soldiers and reservists and, the entire Israeli society needs, so much of redemption, I suppose, or correction and sense of sense of an end of a very, very difficult 2 years. We've never had anything like that in Israel's history. I mean, I have to tell you, we've been bombarded and rocketed from from Lebanon, from Syria, from Iraq, from Yemen, from Iran, from Gaza. And it really a sense of relief, and maybe we can start, with the correction that we desperately need.
Now, Tal, it hasn't been announced, but are Israelis seeing this as an end to the war?
Yes, it is an end to the war. It is announced because in Trump's 20 points plan, I think point number 2 or 3 says this is the end of the war. Obviously, they need to negotiate many of the items and the details that will follow with respect to how the IDF will rearrange itself along the border and what other forces, international forces, will go into Gaza, and the entire demilitarization and the renovation and the rebuilding of Gaza. It's all not yet decided. But it is part of a bigger scheme, and I suppose the president will not allow Netanyahu to re-enter Gaza soon, I don't suppose the terrorists will now rearm themselves. If they will do so, there will be a huge problem, but it's not on the table at the moment.
When is the Netanyahu government expected to formally approve the deal, and could there be any hurdles to this?
Of course, they have to make a vote in Israel under the law in order to release terrorists who murdered people inside Israel, and they are planning to release them in order, as exchange, of course. In order to do that, you need an approval of the government. We're talking about 250 people who were convicted under the law with evidence and everything in murder, sometimes murder of multiple people, and terrorist acts. And those people are about to be released from the Israeli jails. In order to proceed with that, you need a governmental approval. This is a grave decision, and it's always been the case here in Israel. When they take those decisions, it's not easy at all for the Israeli public, because you have families of victims of those who were murdered. I mean, we're talking about murders that took place, a dozen of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and they will be released into Gaza.
This first phase signing, do you think this is a win for Netanyahu domestically? Because, is he popular now? Because I understand there were, some protests that were happening as well. How popular is he now?
He is not very popular. He has, issues. We think that some of his coalition partners, the extreme ministers, they may step down shortly. We're not sure of that. They will vote against the deal. That's for sure. They already said so, because they're not agreeing to release any of those murderers from jails. And in the Israeli public as a whole, the polling suggests that he's not, wiped out, but he's not very popular. I'm having trouble to just, convey this to you. He may lose election, but, election are not yet happening. So, he has enough time to make a correction. And the public mood is very volatile, and people are still suffering a lot from the war. Many people did not agree with the last, phases. The incursion into Gaza that took place on March 25, and again, the incursion into the city of Gaza that took place about 2 months ago, or like months ago. There was a huge public uproar about that. People wanted to see an end of the war, and they thought that this will not bring an end. And they perceived President Trump, as the person who brought this deal, and they perceive Netanyahu as being pushed around by the president to agree to the deal. So that's not a good, not a good platform for a prime minister to ride on. Having said that, Netanyahu is very masterful in media and in public persuasion, and he already says, his account of the events of the last week is that he wanted that deal. And that's weird because he did not want it for such a long time.
I just want to go back to the IDF. When are Israeli forces expected to withdraw to the agreed upon line?
Immediately. They already stopped some of the operations taking place inside Gaza. I think, according to the plan, when they signed the deal, I think within 24 hours, I'm not completely sure about the little details, but they're not withdrawing completely out of Gaza. They're withdrawing to a line that is, a borderline that keeps IDF in 50% of the area still, until the Hamas, the other side, move ahead with certain conditions. One of the problems is that we have 20 people alive and 28 people that are probably presumed, most of them presumed murdered, dead. And the Hamas will have a huge trouble to locate those bodies. And I think one of the reasons the IDF will not pull out completely is the commitment of the terror organization is to bring all 48 people in coffins. People that are alive that will be out immediately, but then they still have to bring in 28 people, and they will have a problem locating them. And I think part of the reason the IDF is not completely pulling out is because of that. Plus, as far as I know, Israel security or Israel intelligence services might help the terror organization to locate those bodies.
Tal Schneider from Tel Aviv, thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.